I know it's been a while since we've had class, so you may not remember, but we're skipping chapter 36. If you guys want to read a whole list of names, you can do that on your own time. And we're moving into chapter 37. Now, there was rumors from a member of the church council that I'm being fired and being replaced with Myra after last week. I'll leave it up to you to guess which one that is, but you're right.
We appreciated Myron being able to step in,
Yeah,
considering what happened to the doctor.
yeah. I didn't learn about it till I picked up my dog from Mike. He told her, thank you for stepping in. I would have.
Fine job. Yep, he did.
Adam, he put it in large print. So
Yeah. I would have made everything else larger had I known, but when I left, I didn't know that was gonna happen. So, how's everyone been the last couple of weeks?
Fine.
And how was your trip last weekend? Did you travel?
Yes, we went down to Wichita.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Wichita is a lot of fun, but our trip, Friday morning, I'm awoken by a call from Dave Ripken. Hey, my dad passed yesterday. Oh. Now I warned them that I was going out of town. You don't need to come back. It's fine. So started thinking through the funeral sermon then, which isn't exactly what you're looking for on a vacation. Then Saturday morning, we're awoken by our house alarm going off. One of our doors had opened and tripped the alarm. So we had to send the cops over to deal with that. Everything was fine. I'm guessing one of the doors was shut but not tight enough and blew open. Yeah, that would be my best guess, but I don't know.
No wind goes.
Wasn't me. So that was Saturday morning?
Saturday morning, then Saturday evening, right as we got Zeke in bed, some genius just, oh, no, Saturday evening, we were at the pool in the hotel because when you're traveling with Zeke, you have to have a pool nearby. I still have chlorine burns. And some unsavory fellow. You can insert your own adjectives in there, but we're in church. Was taking pictures of the kids swimming. And then that night, as we got Zeke to bed, yeah, Caitlin noticed him pointing him out to me. By the time he saw me, he vacated the premises rather rapidly. This just something you should know. That guy would have gotten beaten. And I wouldn't have felt bad about it.
You had his camera too.
Yeah, taking pictures of his phone. And I might have made the news, but you know what? I would have been okay with that. And then that night, some genius, as we got Zeke to bed, pulled the fire alarm. Twice.
Oh.
And ever since the big storm back in December, Zeke's been terrified of tornadoes. So that wasn't fun calming him down. But I'll say this, the Wichita Fire Department was at our hotel in 4 minutes. I was really impressed with their response time. Then after the fire alarm got pulled twice, I thought, well, someone's going to jail tonight. Wichita itself, wonderful. We'll be going back to hopefully get a restful vacation this time. Because it really no one's fault. It's restful.
No.
It was interesting. The zoo, the children's museum, they're all wonderful. And the barbecue down there. One of my biggest regrets out of the trip was we stopped at a barbecue joint that sold individual ribs. I bought a sandwich and some baked beans, stuff like that. My biggest regret was I should have got one of those ribs to go along with it.
Is it good as you make it home?
It was better.
You didn't have to clean up.
Well, that helps too.
Sure, I pictured you out at Minden. Minden had been mentioned.
Yeah, that's more of a day trip. Although our first little weekend excursion, we did go as far as Kearney and spent the night there. Because Kearney is really exotic. It was wonderful, and the drive down is ridiculously easy.
Down 81.
No, to Wichita.
You went down 81.
Eventually, but I took Showboat all the way into Kansas.
Oh,
And then 24
goes
to
across.
14, 14 to 36, 36 over to 18. That's what Google Maps told me was the quickest anyway. And
136 is pretty.
yeah, gorgeous, especially when you get down around Salina and there's those, they're either tall hills or many mountains or whatever there. Oh, gorgeous.
Salina used to have, wasn't it Russell's? Russell's Restaurant, isn't that in Salina? Next time you go, you might pull past there and see. They used to do a pork tenderloin sandwich where the tenderloin itself was bigger than the plate almost.
Ooh.
Now I'm talking a real plate. I think that's
You
in Salina.
do some intel on that, and the next time we're down that way, we might have to check it out.
It wasn't barbecue, but it was generous service.
Well, my father-in-law has a rule that I think is incredibly wise. Whenever you're going on vacation, never go to a place with bad food. Because what do you do on vacation? You do two things. You explore and you eat. And if half of those are bad, it's not going to be fun. So yeah, it was nice to get away. I always like seeing new things, but it was really nice to be back home. I enjoyed coming home, sleeping in my own bed, that sort
The police that cleared your house.
of thing.
You had no fire alarms going on.
No. Anyway, let's take a look at some scripture, shall we?
Yes.
Chapter 37. Who wants to begin reading?
I've already talked a lot, but I will start. Jacob lived in the land where his father had resided as an alien, that is, in the land of Canaan. This is the account about the development of the family of Jacob. When Joseph was 17 years old, he was tending the flock with his brothers. He was just a boy compared to the sons of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. Joseph brought a bad report about them to his father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his other sons because he was the son born in his old age, and he made him a special robe. His brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, so they hated him and did not speak to him in a friendly way.
Once Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, so they hated him all the more. He said to them, "Please listen to this dream that I had dreamed. There we were binding sheep in the field, and suddenly my sheep rose up and stood upright, and your sheaves gathered around and bowed down to my feet." His brother said to him, "So will you really reign over us? Will you really have dominion over us?" They hated him all the more because of his dreams and what he said.
And he had another thing he told to his brothers. He said, "Listen, I had another dream. This is what I saw. The sun and the moon and 11 stars bowed down to me." He told it to his father and to his brothers. His father rebuked him and said to him, "What kind of dream is this that you have dreamed? Will I and your mother and your brothers really come and bow down to the ground in front of you?" His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept what he had said in his mind.
His brothers went to pasture their father's flock in Shechem. Israel said to Joseph, "Aren't your brothers pasturing the flock in Shechem? Go, I will send you to them." Joseph said to them, "Yes, I will do it." Israel said to him, "Please go and see whether everything is going well with your brothers and with the law. I'm going to work with you." So he sent him off from the valley of Hebron, and he arrived at Shechem. A man met him as he was wandering on the country. The man asked, "What are you looking for?" He said, "I'm looking for my brothers. Tell me, please, where are they, pastor?" The man said, "They had left here. I heard them say, 'Let's go to Joseph.'" Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. They fought in the distance, and before he came near to them, they conspired against him to kill him. They said to each other, "Look, here comes this master of dreams. Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of the cisterns, and we will say, 'A wild animal has devoured him.' Then we will see what will become of his dreams."
Reuben heard this and rescued him out of their hands. He said, "Let's not take his life." Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood. Throw him into the cistern that is in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand on him." He said this so that he could rescue them out of their hands and restore him to his father. And so when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the special robe he was wearing. Then they took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty, there was no water in it. They sat down to eat bread, and they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh, which they were going to deliver to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is there in killing our brother and concealing his blood? Come on, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay a hand on him, since he is our brother, our own flesh." His brothers listened to him. As the Midianites, who were merchants, were passing by, the brothers pulled Joseph up out of the cistern and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelite for 20 pieces of silver. They brought Joseph to Egypt.
When Reuben returned to the cistern, he saw that Joseph was not in the cistern, so he tore his clothing. He returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is no longer here, and as for me, where will I go now?" Then they took Joseph's robe, killed a male goat, and dipped the robe in the goat's blood. They took the special robe and they brought it to their father and said, "We have found this. Examine it now and see whether it is your son's robe or not."
He recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe. A wild animal has devoured him." Without a doubt, Joseph has been torn to pieces. Jacob tore his clothing, put sackcloth around his waist, and mourned for his son for many days. all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. He said, no, I will mourn for my son until I go down to the grave. So his father wept for him. In Egypt, the Midianites sold him to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, who was the captain of the guard.
All right, thank you. So before we get into the questions I've got, anything jump out at you guys?
I have a question, it's probably not important, but we've all always heard about the coat of many colors in this report as special coat. Is there a difference or something, or,
I will read to you exactly what the footnote says.
okay.
Traditionally, a coat of many colors, but the precise meaning of the term is no longer known. It may have been a robe or tunic with fancy embroidery or a tunic with long sleeves. The problem with translating Hebrew that is 3,600 years old is languages have changed so much that these special words that only come up once in all of Scripture are a little bit difficult to understand. So we're forced to rely on other sources and other languages that we understand a bit more. Because as far as ancient Hebrew goes, we have some shards from the Holy Land to read, and we have the translations of the Bible into mainly Greek. Have you heard of the Septuagint? That was a translation of the Hebrew Bible into Greek by 70 authors. And that's what Septuagint means, 70. Anyway, so in there, the Greek helps us understand what they thought this word meant at least, but we're not 100% on a couple of these things. A little detail like that is not going to affect the meaning of the story, but like, remember in the creation account where it described all the lands that were to the east, west, north, and south of the Garden of Eden? A couple of the things that those lands were famous for, our words were not 100% sure on how to translate. This happens occasionally in the book of Genesis. It happens in, and it's mainly there, and it's always little detailed things like this. So we can be confident of our translation, but not so confident in a couple of the minor details because the Tower of Babel existed and ruined communication for everybody. I had a feeling that was going to come up. So
The New International Version calls it a richly ornamented robe.
richly ornamented, that could mean many colors, that could mean fancy embroidery, it could mean any number of things. There is, what's made the robe special is a matter of slight conjecture. That the robe was special is well known.
Caused a lot of trouble. For Jacob to know that that was Joseph.
Right.
So,
There was something special about it that made it instantly identifiable. I don't think it was a Technicolor Dreamcoat, at least.
I think when we were in Sunday school, they told that story, Joseph's coat of many colors.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's based, I believe, on the King James translation. I'm young enough to have never used the King James in school, so. Anything else? All right, let's take a look at my question. Carol's already identified the first one. So what are your thoughts? Would you like to have Joseph as a brother?
Well, from our standpoint now, yeah.
Yeah, but back then, probably not so much, because a younger brother that almost sounds like a know-it-all. You know, that they're gonna all bow down to him.
Well, I have a sister 14 years younger than me. And I don't know, we were jealous, and all kinds of stuff, and I'm not saying it was all their fault.
No, I don't think so either, but you know, I
clapped whenever she did a
but you know, it's easy to, you know, you were, I was, from when I was 11 years younger, and older sister, my oldest brother, 16 years younger. And it was like, they're getting to go do that, and I can't, you know?
Yeah, there was a
Yeah,
bridge.
I mean, on both sides, there's
Yeah, yeah.
that kind of thing, and that's being a brother and sister.
One of my favorite, I have a brother, he's 3 years younger than me. And one year I was home from the seminary, he was home from college. And his goal for Christmas vacation was to watch every James Bond film that existed. My goal over Christmas vacation was to earn as much money as I could. So I was working 50, 60-hour weeks. And one night, my parents told him to go do the dishes. I did the dishes last night. Why can't Brian? You worked all day. You watch James Bond films in your room. So age doesn't make as big a difference as that little dynamic there. Because yeah, I got to work at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and worked till well after 5, 6 o'clock. I don't remember the exact hours, but anyway.
Not in the world, it's always there.
Yeah,
But it does say that this particular kid was the favorite. And
he
that's
was the
not
favorite and a tattletale.
right. Yeah.
Says his brother hated him, well, that's pretty strong words.
Yeah.
He had to be awful arrogant, condescending to his brother.
Oh, yeah. I think it's pretty obvious that Joseph was a pain in the butt. So what did Joseph's dreams mean?
That he was gonna be older,
Yeah.
his brother.
Again, this is one of the more familiar parts of Genesis, so there's not a lot of ground we probably haven't covered here. So Joseph goes out to check on his brothers because his dad sent him. And he eventually finds his brothers. His brothers see him coming. What was their original plan?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought about it occasionally, but. So who saved Joseph? How did he save him?
Well, put him in his sister. He thought he'd come back and get him out later.
Look, don't kill the kid. You see that empty hole over there? Throw him in there. I mean, it's not the same as killing him. Pretty close.
And they had taken off his coat first, right? Stripped him of his robe.
So his brothers literally pawned him off, like literally the exact meaning of pawn off. That's what his brothers did. Who'd they sell him to? Exactly, his cousins, Ishmaelites. their father's half uncle, his descendants, they sold their half brother to. And how did they cover up their crime?
With your play.
Yeah.
That wouldn't work today. DNA and all that. Where is that?
So where did Joseph end up?
On a horse house.
Yep, that'll come up again in a couple chapters, but I think that's enough for today, don't you? Oh, absolutely. And we're gonna focus in on that once we start talking about Joseph again. Because Joseph says it's much. All right.
Myron?
Want another cup?
Yeah.
Pastor sometimes says just so this can be done, so schedule your emergency.
Yeah. Certainly think that